Shin. Hello, my friends. This is our Pykthos Strategy Cafe, February 6th, 2026. Holy crap, we're already into February of this new year. And I gotta say, new year, new us, right? Now, not new us in like Chris and I, but new us as in like opportunities this year to be able to build our businesses, whether you're a coach, hypnotist, therapist, hypnotherapist, doesn't really matter. People helpers of all kind can benefit from these types of conversations that we're going to have today. And so, with that said, I'm going to hand it off to my best friend, my mentor, colleague, and business partner in Picthos, Chris Thompson.
All right, thanks. So, guys, just Strategy Cafe. This, I believe, is this our fifth? I
Fifth
think this
one.
is, yeah, we still have not
Episode, season, series?
episode. Yeah,
What are we?
we're gonna go with episode because we keep saying, and we will actually pull the trigger on this. Let's say this week we'll make it happen. We're gonna strip the audio out of these calls, which already go up on YouTube, and we're going to upload them to some sort of. I think we're going to use Spotify because they have a free podcasting service now. They bought a company called Anchor a little while ago, which is a great podcast host. So that way we'll have a Pick Those Strategy Cafe podcast, and we'll also have, of course, these live sessions. So anyone listening, feel free to head on over to picthos.com/cafe. That's where you can sign up for these and show up to live Zoom events and hopefully get help. The whole point of these is to help you get unstuck. Yes, we run the Pickleball Mastermind and platform, and yes, we're happy to answer questions and sell to you, but that's not the purpose of it. The purpose is to get to you some sort of help that will be useful. Now, keep in mind, it's a mix of people. Some people are already in the Pickleball Mastermind, and that's awesome that you guys are here. You probably have a different level of question than people who are at the absolute beginning of their journey as an entrepreneur. Wherever you are, we don't care. We're just here to help and hopefully give you guys some value added. So the way we're going to do things is use the chat, which we'll be monitoring, and of course the digital hand raise in Zoom, and then just go ahead and start throwing questions at us and let's see what we can do to help you. And if we don't know the answer, then maybe somebody else on the call will know the answer. And that's the whole value of today. So, all right, who wants to start it off? Awkward silence.
All right. Going once, going twice. All right. This has been a great strategy. No, just kidding. Just kidding.
um, well,
All
so
right.
we're gonna have to seed the. So we
Oh,
got Marcel.
Marcel.
Marcel's already got his. Yeah, use the reactions button, guys, so that we can see when you want to raise your hand because all of you are a bunch of postage stamps in front of us. But go ahead, Marcel.
I keep forgetting where to find that hand to raise. So
Under
that's why I did it
reactions.
this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, reactions. Oh yeah, there it is. I wonder how it works if I want to test two different funnels. Uh, can I air them at the same time or not?
Yeah. So you want to send traffic to two different funnels and see what the performance is like? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, usually the way to do that is something called split testing. You wouldn't actually run two funnels. You would just typically set up one funnel. Now, let's say a funnel was, let's say for a simple lead magnet, meaning I'm going to
Yeah.
ask you to give me your name and email address. And when you do that, I'm going to send you to a confirmation page. So the most simple funnel in the world, opt-in page,
Yeah.
thank you page, something like that. Typically, the way you would do that is split testing. So you would create a variation, you'd create your original version, which we would call the control of your opt-in page. And then you would create a variation. And then you would run traffic maybe 50% to the control, 50% to the variation, and you would measure performance based on whatever the goal is. So if the goal is to get people to
You
opt
already
in,
lost me. You already lost me.
all right,
Go back.
where did I
You,
lose you?
um, so I have the original funnel,
Hmm.
and then you say you create a variation.
Yeah,
And but which one do I air? Or how does
you
that work?
well, what you do is you start a split test. So if you create the original, so a funnel, you have one funnel. Within the one
Yeah.
funnel, there are steps. And
Yeah.
we could probably screen share this along the way. Timothy, on your machine, you're probably better equipped than me on my laptop to do a screen share if you want to show maybe in the demo account or something what it looks like to have steps in a funnel. But generally speaking, you have steps in a funnel. So step one would, let's say, be the opt-in page. Step two would be the thank you page. For every step, you can create a
A different.
variation.
Yeah.
Right. And then when you start a split test, what will automatically happen is whatever the URL is for that funnel step, the
Yeah.
system behind the scenes will send let's say 50% of the traffic to your original and 50% to your test, your
Oh, okay.
variation. And
Okay.
then you'll be able to see in a little nice matrix style report how many visitors came in to this one, how many visitors came into this other one, what was the result? Like maybe 40% of people opted in on this one and only 20 on this other one. So
Okay.
the test was a total failure. And
Okay.
you generally speaking, this is a good principle in split testing. When you have an idea and you go, gee, what headline's going to work best? Now, you typically want to test the things that are really going to move the needle. So you don't necessarily want to just test like, oh, a slightly different font or something like that, or a different
No,
shade
no,
of
no. You want
gray.
to,
You want to
yeah,
test like dramatically different
yeah,
headlines
yeah, yeah, yeah,
or
yeah. Exactly.
totally different, yeah,
Exactly.
images or videos or something like that. Timothy, you got any thoughts
So,
you want to throw in on that?
so the system, when the funnel is live, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
then the system decides who's going to go where, basically.
Yeah, it just randomizes it based on
Okay.
whatever
Okay.
percentages. Yeah. And
Yeah.
whenever
Okay.
we run these tests, we typically go 50-50. Almost
Or
every time, I think,
you can apply that. You can pre-apply that. Which
yeah,
one to appear? How many percent of the time?
yeah, exactly. Because sometimes
Okay.
if you want to run a test, let's say you're doing something totally different. Maybe
Yeah.
you go, I really only want 10% of my traffic to see this totally different thing, just in case it totally bombs.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
And so
that's an eye opener.
yeah, so
Yeah.
what Chris was talking about, Marcel, is that
Yeah.
inside of Pykthos, like you see, I'm in a
The
funnel, right?
funnels. Yeah.
And this is like I just picked like MP3 product funnel because it's our demo account. So let's
Yeah.
say that this is the page, even though you can't see the preview of it, but let's assume that there's a page here and I want
That's
to
one.
split
Yeah.
test it, right? So
Okay.
first we have to go over here and hit create variation. And
Yeah.
then, and so you need a domain in order to do that. Give me a
Well, yeah.
second. Yeah, let me,
Do they both can go on the same domain?
Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So here
Yeah.
we
I
go.
think I hear what you're saying, Timothy, because you can't split test without attaching a domain to it. Because
Yeah. Yeah.
normally you can work on funnels behind the scene. Oh, did you already set a domain to it?
There we go. So here's this was something that we used to call the almost webinar, which is what the Strategy Cafe's replaced. So, but we
Yeah.
still have the domain here. So you can see
Yeah.
here, I can click create variation, and it's going to ask
Yeah.
me if I want to either duplicate this page, which is
Yeah.
what Chris was saying. If you duplicate that exact same page, I would then go in and edit like just the
Yeah.
headline. So
Yeah.
let's say
Yeah.
like let's assume that I've done that. I'm going to duplicate the control. And then let's assume that I just want to edit the headline. And you'll see here that what happens is once it's done, right
Yeah.
here, I get this nice slider. I can determine how
Aha.
much of my traffic. So right now it's 50-50. But let's say
Yeah.
that I want 30% of my traffic going to the main and I want to apply 70%. So all you have to do is slide it to where you want and click apply.
Oh, okay.
Super
Okay.
easy.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, it is. Once you know it.
Yeah, now there's a lot of different split testing platforms out there on the internet, on the webs, right? And back in the day, you used to do split tests with things like Google Website Optimizer or Visual Website Optimizer, which is a company out of India that was pretty good. In WordPress, you could buy all kinds of different tools, like Thrive Themes has this built in. But the nice thing about a platform like Pickleball, which is running on Go High Level, it's just all baked in. So it's just one of these features that if you think you might one
Okay.
day want to use, it's nice to know you have it. But I would not, for most of you, don't bother with anything like this until you're sending substantial traffic to a particular page and you have an idea and you say, hey, I hypothesize maybe my headline is crappy or maybe my image is crappy. Let's see if I get better results. Now, if you only have, 10 or 20 visitors every week, it's going to take forever to get statistically meaningful
Yeah.
results. But if you're
Okay.
getting hundreds of people visiting this page all the time from your social media channel or from paid ads or from Zoom calls where you're presenting or podcasts or you're appearing on, great. Then it makes sense to always be thinking, how can I optimize what my results are from the current funnels?
Okay. Great. Thanks, guys.
Cool. All
You're
right.
welcome. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And just to kind of like give it more of a broad perspective for everybody, you may be wondering like, okay, for Marcel and his specific funnel, that's one thing, but what about you? Why would this matter? Well, Chris and I, over the past several months, have been doing something that we learned from Ryan Dyson, digital marketer, called Leads on Demand. And what Leads on Demand is, in the shortest possible and easiest way that I can explain it, is you essentially use ads that have a simple call out and then a statement. And all you're doing is you're paying for the ad to go to a whole bunch of people, and you're seeing which, ad gets the most impressions, the most clicks, that kind of stuff for the least amount of money. All of that, the reason why we're doing it is because we don't know what our audience actually, resonates with. So, how many of you guys have, maybe a lead magnet, which is that free thing you give people in exchange for their email address,
Mhm.
and you're wondering, like, is this even working? Right? Like that is something that running ads for this would work. But split testing is the exact same way. You don't know whether or not headline A or headline B is going to resonate most with your business. So, or with your audience. So rather than just swapping out the original headline and then hoping, instead you would run a split test. That way you actually get real data. And inside of the platform, Pykthos, we have something that allows you to view the data right there inside of the platform too. So you can see page one, page
Mhm.
two, and how that data is correlating across both pages. So hopefully that helps. Cool. All right.
Yeah, the idea of, well, we're just waiting for more people to raise their hands and stuff here. I'm also going to monitor the chat. Um,
Yeah.
if you have a niche of any kind, so I think we talked about this in episode,
Yeah.
might have been 2 or 3, the idea of problem statements, because back in the day when Eugene Schwartz wrote his book, I think it was Breakthrough Advertising, it's the title of that one,
Yep.
which
Yep.
apparently costs a fortune, even if you try to find a used copy. So there's this concept that people are problem aware. And then there's this concept of being solution aware. Yeah, this is the graphic that we made. Well, actually, Google Gemini made it for us when we described it. And a lot of the times, like if you are, let's say you're selling hypnosis services, hypnotherapy services, and you have a website like here, I'm in Fort Myers right now, Florida. So let's say Fort Myers hypnosis.com. Well, back in the day, people might be looking for a hypnotherapist in Fort Myers and they might find my website. Well, they're already solution aware at that point, right? They know that they want to apply hypnosis towards some problem. But most people are not at that point. Most people, like how many of you guys, just by show of hands, would say that people have already come to you knowing that they definitely just want hypnosis, as opposed to they have a problem and they haven't necessarily thought about hypnosis as the solution, or it could be whatever you offer. Maybe you're a massage therapist, NLP practitioner, whatever. But there is a problem that they have, and that could be, well, I smoke and I'd rather not smoke, right? That would be a problem. I'm smoking cigarettes and I don't want to do that. And they're not yet solution aware because they haven't necessarily considered hypnosis as the solution. They might be considering a nicotine patch or the gum that you chew or going cold turkey or some sort of group support program, traditional therapy, whatever. And you might be the person that gets them from problem aware to solution aware by introducing hypnosis as an amazing way to help people stop smoking or deal with anxiety or lose weight. You name it, right? And all the usual things. And so that's where these things come in, these tests that Timothy was talking about come in, because you can introduce problem statements to people to see which of those statements resonate with them. And then those become the basis of headlines that you would use on your landing page. So when you start researching a whole bunch of possible problem statements, like, I wish I could quit smoking, but it just feels like something I can't give up, whatever, like that might be a problem statement that resonates with a smoker. But you might test 10 different versions of that, 20 different versions of that, not versions even, like totally different statements. Like, I have no idea what I would do without a cigarette in my hand. Might be a totally different problem statement. You could, I mean, maybe use the chat and drop in examples of what you guys think would be a problem statement for a smoker. I've never been a smoker, so I have no idea. But I would have to research that if I wanted to help people quit smoking and then go, okay, this here, 1 or 2 versions of the problem statement, these are the ones that are kicking ass. These are the ones that are resonating the most with my audience. And therefore, I'm going to use those to craft now headlines and my offers and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully that makes sense. Rather than just going, welcome to Fort Myers hypnotherapy. You know, that's what we see on so many hypnotherapist websites. It's just like, welcome to my website, book a call with me here. And it's like, why? Why would I do that? I have no idea who you are, why you are offering me to book a call, how you can possibly help me. You haven't resonated with me in any way. And that's literally what we see on 90%, maybe even, I don't know, would you say more than 90% of the websites that we've ever seen in this field,
Yeah.
Timothy?
Yeah. Yeah. It's because, and it's nothing that you guys are doing wrong. Like, you have to understand, Chris and I have been doing marketing and we've been in this field for decades now. Like, probably, I mean, you're much longer than me, but I've got a decade of experience, like 11 years being an entrepreneur. Chris has got much, much longer than me. And so you have to understand that we are approaching things from a much higher level than what you guys do, only because we're a little bit farther down the path. Like, Deborah, I see here, that you said you're at the very beginning of the process, and we may as well be talking in wingdings because you don't understand any of this, and I totally get that. Yeah, the whole wingdings. Oh, that's so funny. When Chris and I were thinking of how we could approach today's topic and like today's conversation, that was one of the things is we said, well, we definitely want to make sure that along with the chapter 3 stuff, for many of you, you're there. We also need to talk in the chapter 1. So, Deborah, since you brought this up in the chat, I would love to know, when you say that you're at the very beginning of the process and you don't understand any of this, what specifically don't you understand?
Technology. In a word, technology. I've had my business for 13 years as April this year, and it's very much been word of mouth. So I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, but I'm also a mental health, wellbeing, emotional resilience trainer. So all of my business, without a doubt, has come word of mouth. And I had a very nice contract with the local housing association, but they've recently gone in-house with their training. So that side of it's dropped down. And the hypnotherapy side, I kept very few clients. And as I say, when you spoke about the website there, and you said, welcome to my website, that is mine. I know I need to do something differently. I've been absolutely toying this last couple of weeks, whether just to jack it all in, finish with it all together. But there's something inside me saying, no, I've still got some more to give. There's some more to do. I've got a lot of, obviously knowledge and training behind me. So I'm sort of floundering a bit in the dark. I've been on so many sort of courses, webinars that say, make you a millionaire in what feels like 3 weeks, do this, do that, and whatever. And I'm just absolutely drowning in the information. Your message email popped up on my inbox yesterday, and I had to read through it. I'm obviously MMA qualified as well. I do the Mindscape and New You and all of the stuff that Mike teaches. And as I was going through the information, it sort of resonated with me, thinking, actually, I think this is what I need. And knowing the reputation, obviously, from yourself and Mike, I thought, actually, I'm going to have a look at this. So I jumped on, and as I say, it may as well be wingdings. I have not a clue what's going on.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So let me chime in really quick, and then I'll pass it off to Chris.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, this is an absolute common thing, Deborah. So like I totally hear you, and you're right to feel the way that you are, 100%. When it comes to understanding how customers are made, it sounds like we typically teach something called the customer value journey, which is the typical pathway that almost everybody goes through, even yourself, when you're, deciding on, what product to buy, right? We don't just see something, like an ad and immediately go, oh, I'm going to go buy that, right? That would be the equivalent of if we were to go on a date with somebody and the very first time we see them, we ask them, what are we going to name our kids? Right? We typically, as consumers, we go through the, research and look at, not just what the product is, but what are the reviews, testimonials, etc. Right? Maybe we've heard not just from an ad, but instead maybe we heard from a friend of ours that said, I got this product and it changed my life and I think it would really help you. That would be, in your case, the referral. So in the traditional customer journey, the referrals is actually at the very end, which kind of gives me some hope for you in this because that means that you've been doing something incredible. You've been doing something right that a lot of hypnotists and hypnotherapists struggle with, which is consistency in getting referrals. So you've lost one aspect of your traffic, which is the housing association. So at this
Mhm.
point, we need to figure out and help you figure out where exactly you could find similar traffic of the people that you resonate with the most. So instead of, oh, I'm going to become a millionaire in 3 weeks, like we would never tell you that. In fact, we just released a report on the Mike Mindell hypnosis side that is research backed and it shows exactly how the median income that most hypnotists make is really people that, like, if you think of like the law of large numbers, there are more people who do hypnosis as a side gig than there are people who do it
Mhm.
100% professionally. And so if you're going that route, you actually have a much higher chance of being super successful because there's not very many of us that this is our only job, this is the profession we do, right? So for you, I would actually start writing down and answering some questions for yourself. Like when you did have the housing association, who were the type of people that you typically saw?
Hmm.
Did you enjoy working
Mhm.
with them, or were you like, I really don't like these people, but they're paying me money, so I'll work with them? I'd figure out number one, who you actually like working with, because then that's going to help you decide where those people are and how to go about finding them again. Because that's what it sounds like is you had like an ocean that you were fishing out of, and then that ocean dried
Mhm.
up, and now you're wondering, what do I do? So we have to find you
Mhm.
another ocean. So I would look at who you worked with previously and who you really enjoyed working with. Like 10 out of 10, I would take this customer over all my other customers, hand over fist every single time and then start to figure out what that person talks about in their head. And this is the problem statements Chris was talking about. Like, how do they talk about their problem? Let's assume that, let's say, an easy one's weight loss, right? If you enjoyed working with people that did weight loss and you're like, oh, I resonate with these people or whatever, maybe in your head, you'd start writing down the ways that they would talk to themselves, like, oh, I'm eating another biscuit again at midnight, or I can't seem to stop
Mhm.
having these sweets, right? So figure out what they're saying to themselves and then start to go into Facebook groups or other areas that have these people and start seeing the way that they talk about their problems. Because that's also going to give you problem statements. One of the ways that I got my business to be a six-figure business when I was a hypnotist and that was full time, that's all I did, was I went into various Facebook groups, meetup groups, etc. And I just looked at the way people talked about their problems because then that let me, because we all know as hypnotists and coaches, our clients' words are more important than our own. I would start
Hmm.
to write emails and I would make social video posts and videos and everything like that about the problems they were talking about. So if you do something similar, you're going to end up with a lot higher success rate than somebody who's, like you said, just kind of sitting around not sure what to do. Chris, what are your
Mhm.
thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with that. Sorry, Deborah, let me just give you a chance to respond to what Timothy said first before I continue just, chiming in.
Yeah, I absolutely understand that now. One of the problems I've got is the people I love working with um, are generally people who learned helplessness. They're people from the community. They're teenagers between the age of 16 and 24 that have
Hmm.
got in that mindset of it's everything's done to me, very
Yeah.
little money. And they're the ones that when I used to work for the same housing association, coaching for them, they were the ones that I actually got the most reward from, the ones that actually I could enable them to see, actually, I can do something, there is more, I can, and see the change in that. Um, and it's understanding, to say, the customer journey and the question, the problem. I get that bit, The other thing that I'm trying to do, in the past, I've gone out and delivered training face to face. I want to get rid of that. So I want to drive traffic for online courses. I want to move all of my courses online and do my coaching online, even though I can do face to face. I hire a room 2 days a week. So I've got a number of I feel like I've got a lot of things happening and I don't know which way to turn, which one to grab hold of. But I definitely love working with those who are less privileged than a lot of people.
Okay, thank you for that added info, because I'm glad I didn't just start talking then. It really helps to get that additional color about the situation. A couple of things I noticed there were that you're working with a 16 to 21-year-old-ish crowd. I heard you say learned helplessness. And yeah, what we would call in the Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy, people who are at effect rather than at cause, right? So life is just happening to me. It's not my fault. It's the environment. It's my teachers. It's my parents. It's all the other crap. And yeah, man, we can do so much amazing coaching when we get them to reframe how they see things and make identity level shifts and build resources and all this stuff. The interesting thing is your audience that you're selling to is probably different. I am guessing, I'm going to ask you, is probably different than the audience that you're actually helping. So you're helping, let's say, teens or young adults. Who's buying typically? Is it their parents or somebody with them? Like, somebody's got to have the money. It usually isn't the teenager, right?
Somebody's got the money. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly it's those who work with those people. So general practitioners, primary care providers, even the housing association, they have a counselling support service, social services, probation, all those people who work with communities. Now, the issue is they are on a very tight budget. Very often they're helicoptered into an area, do your work, funding runs out, off they go, and often leaves people worse off than when they started. So it's about, how do I engage with sort of people who are maybe looking to take on apprentices? So, are the young people ready for work? What are you looking for? How are you going to attract the right person? So there's that sort of market. There's a market there with HR, where it's looking at well-being of the staff, which was my thing that I worked on at the housing association. So I think for me, there's so many possibilities. There's so many things out there, and my head's full of ideas, but it's which way to go with that. But also then to have a process and a structure that I can sort of get people to see me, to see the site. And then they've got the option to either, contact me face to face, do online training, like just the coaching, things like that. So I think at the moment, just such a soup of ideas that I'm really struggling with what to do. Hence, I was thinking the other day, just jack it in, girl, just leave it. But I don't want to do that.
Okay. And Timothy, are you okay if I screen share the Perfect Client Snapshot blank version of it while I'm answering some questions?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. Yeah, this is a resource that we take people in our mastermind through. It's one of many resources, but I'm just going to show this to you guys because I think this might help just as I'm talking through this with you. Here we go. Yeah, okay, great. So if you look at this, Deborah, we call this a Perfect Client Snapshot, and it's a useful thing. You don't have to go through the whole thing. If you just take a few nuggets away from this and go, okay, I'm going to go think about how my clients identify, that will probably help you come up with some material that you can put out there, whether it be social media, videos on your website, whether it be little tutorials or guidelines or like mini courses that you can drive people through, because you're typically the perfect client is the one that we think of that we're actually working with as the therapist or the coach. But in your case, you might have a different series of, you're going to probably have to do this kind of exercise for, let's say, a parent who's looking for help for their kid, or maybe a different professional that, and this is a good one, because if you can get someone else to buy into what you do and they are regularly seeing kids that they can refer to you, then it becomes like, oh, you only have to sell. I mean, you know what I mean? Build a rapport and build a relationship, sell that person on you and your value one time, and they can be a constant source of referrals. So just think about the different, don't think perfect client period snapshot. Think maybe you have a variety of clients or referrers in the case of parents, because you're not going to go through this and describe necessarily what is the child dealing with, but think from the perspective of the parent or the other referring agent, whoever it is. And the way this works is you're going to start off in the middle. So who is the demographic? And it could be like, well, a parent that, if you're doing parents, it might be a mom who has a teenager, and you're just sort of describing the demographics. Okay, so you guys can watch the replay and get a sense of what's in this. Once you understand the demographics, you move on to what have they already tried, like their sunk costs, right? Well, if it was an entrepreneur, it would be, well, I already tried a mobile car wash service, and I already tried investing in penny stocks, and that didn't work. You want to know what people have already tried that failed, right? And then you want to know a bit more about like what do they consider to be key purchase drivers? So like what specific outcomes or results are they looking for? What would make your offer compelling enough to act now? Once you have that filled out, then you start going through like, what are they frustrated and afraid about? And I'll let you guys, again, watch the replay to read this a little bit more. What do they really want in life? So once you kind of flesh these out, you just write it as if they would say it to you. What would they say if you were asking that question? They were honestly answering, like truthfully, not a BS answer that they might give their teacher or something, but what would they say in their diary, right? What are their objections and barriers, and maybe what social proof and trust elements they need to know would be trustworthy in someone else. So once you've got that done, then you go into, this is kind of really powerful. You get this middle section done, then you go, what is life like before the transition? What's someone's current reality? What emotions do they experience? What's their typical day like? How do they identify? And what is the core conflict in their life? And then you describe what happens, and I have to move you guys out of the way because you're blocking my screen here. What's their after? Because really, remember, when it comes to marketing, nobody is buying hypnosis or coaching or anything like that. They're buying a transformation, right? Or in the case of the referring person, let's say the parent or the social worker, they're buying confidence, belief. They're buying a belief. Actually, we talked about this in our mastermind call this Wednesday, where when someone's like just taking an early step, they're buying a belief that you can help, right? So whereas the actual client who's seeing you, they care about the before and after. So the teenager cares about, man, I just want to feel like I have a life worth living, and I want to feel like I have an actual career. I want to feel like I have the opportunities available to me, that nothing's holding me back. I want to feel confident about myself. So that's maybe what the kid who's coming into your office would say. But what does the mom want or the dad want? Like the desired outcome is they just want to believe that they can get help for their child, that they don't feel helpless anymore and powerless. And I have this great kid that I love, but I just have no idea what the hell to do to help them. They want to solve that kind of stuff, right? So desired outcome, emotions, what is the typical day of that person? What is their identity after the transformation? And what is their new core conflict? An example would be like, before you think of something like core conflict. Well, I just don't know how to help my kid. I love my kid, but I feel completely stuck and don't have a freaking clue what to do. Afterward, it's sort of like, okay, now what's transformed? Well, now I have a kid that actually is motivated, and my conflict now is, what do I recommend as the best course of action so my kid has the best possible life? It sort of opens a door of opportunity. It's sort of like, if you, I don't have, let's say, make it really, really simple. Core conflict of someone who doesn't have money is, well, I can't pay my bills. And the core conflict after someone who has money is, how do I best spend it for the best life, right? So I can help the most. Like these are the shifts in core conflicts that we're looking for. So I hope that just showing you that asset helps you just think about, what are the conflicts people are dealing with? What are they before and the after situations they're looking for? Start to really just diary out and answer those questions, because if you do that, what will float to the top is a whole bunch of like, oh, now I know what to say on social media. Now I know what to send out in terms of emails to people. And that will actually make your life so much easier, because you won't be sort of saying, oh, I just don't know what to do to attract clients. It'll become really obvious. Hope that helps.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really helpful. Is that document then, is that part of the Pykthos? Is that part of
Yeah.
the package? Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's part of
Okay.
the that's part of the core growth system that we take our members through. We have an entire 6-week module. It was delivered live as a 6-week module at the time, but it's on available. So it's like 6 sessions, about an hour-ish each, and each session is geared towards getting you to fill out one or two little like Google Sheet type of assets. So what you do is you
Mhm.
start you I'll just walk you through it very simply in simple terms. You're starting by understanding kind of what marketing assets you already have. So you might have a website or a lead magnet, you might have a podcast, or maybe you have a group of people that you speak to on a regular basis. These are all assets because they are either lists of people or things that you can refer people to, resources basically, right? Once you
Mhm.
have those, you kind of go, okay, I kind of have a sense of what I have. I probably know what little things are missing or what big things are missing. Then we take a pause, we put that aside and we go, okay, who are we talking to? That was the sheet I just showed you. Once you know who you're talking to, then you start to go, okay, now knowing who those people are, how do I communicate with them? What are the brand messages? What are the messages that I put out there that are going to resonate with those people? So those two pieces are sort of, you know, uh, hand in glove. They fit together perfectly. Once you have that, then you go, all right, now let's start crafting what Timothy referred to earlier, as we call it the customer value journey. It's basically just a map that says, how do we go from stranger to customer? Somebody has to discover you. They have to engage with content in some way, shape, or form where they're like, oh, okay, I watched this particular video from Deborah and it made so much sense. That's amazing. So then the next step is when she says, well, would you give me your email address so that I can send you this, better detailed thing, a lead magnet? They go, yeah, sure, because they already kind of know that you're giving them value. Then you invite them to maybe sign up for one of your courses or sign up for a one-on-one uh, investigation call, discovery call, whatever you guys want to call it, something to invite people into a conversation around. Here's what I have for you. Then they basically ascend up that metaphorical ladder towards being a customer, because it doesn't just happen in one day. You don't just have a video out there that says, "Hi, I'm Deborah. I help kids. Give me money." Like they
Yeah.
just, yeah,
They're going to do that. Yeah,
yeah.
that's really
And then,
helpful. Thank you. Yeah, yeah, that's the sort of language I understand. That when it starts to talk about funnels and
mhm.
that's
Yeah.
got that'll come.
And
Okay.
that and that
Yeah,
and
that's
that
been really
step that I
really useful.
described to you, like the conceptual ladder, that's only really a concept. So then we start actually implementing it within the technology. And that's where usually people go, oh my God, like technology starts to get scary. It's really
Mm.
like funnels just means web pages that are like that ladder. So where's the first page people are going to go? Well, maybe it's a video that just is useful to them. What's the next thing? You might ask them to give you an email address so that you can send them even more value or book a call or something like that. What happens then? Usually some sort of thank you page where you just say, hey, thanks very much for giving me your contact information. Here's what you can expect now, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's really
Mm.
nothing more than a series of mini web pages that just communicate a simple message and tell people what to do next.
Mhm.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for
You're
that.
welcome.
I do
Yeah.
apologise for taking up a lot of your time as well,
No, it's okay.
but thank you.
Yeah. You're the one who jumped in, so you get the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Thanks.
so for everybody else, I think what Deborah was describing is something that's very common in our industry, which is even if people land on my website, how in the world do I get them to book with me?
Yeah.
Even like specifically, like for example, if she likes working with the, like young adults, like teens, and then Chris made the astute, a quote, which was or question, which was like, well, who's buying? It's
Hmm.
oftentimes the parents. So how do you talk the parents into spending hundreds of dollars often or hundreds of pounds oftentimes for their kids? Well, the parents are going to be the ones going through it. So how do you navigate that? And this is where we would oftentimes discuss something called a tripwire. And all that is a low dollar or a small investment of time. And what we can do in our industry is like group sessions. It's much easier to convince somebody to give me 20 pounds or $20 than it is for them to give me 200 or 300.
Hmm.
So what we could do instead, Deborah, is maybe you reach out to all the parents of the type of kids that you like working with, right? and you say, "Hey, I'm doing this group session. It's $20, like super affordable. It's over Zoom." And then you teach the kids or even the parents some self-hypnosis techniques, maybe the swish pattern, like an NLP intervention or something like that that's really fast that they can
Ooh.
implement, like ADAC. And then it's something that they can take with them and they could even practice it with the kid. Or you could do like a buy one, get one free, where you say, "Hey, parents, if you sign up, you can bring your kid." Now you're getting them to experience the kind of work that you do. And that makes it much easier, makes it more tangible for them to pass on that knowledge, almost like a little mini testimonial or a review to the kid. Because the kid's not buying, but the parents are. So you have to build that bridge. So I would do something
Hmm.
small, like a $20 group session. And then at the end of that session, you could say, "Hey, look, I have private sessions. If you think this would benefit your kids, here's how you can book with me. Go to my website, etc." That's the transition that I would go. It's a much easier bridge than "You don't know who I am, buy my $300 package," or something like that.
Yeah.
Does that make
Timothy,
sense?
I like that. You're muted, but but I see you nodding your head at least. I like that. It's funny. I thought because I had a slightly different take on it. Your take's fantastic. The idea of selling the parent a potential low dollar technique that they might use. But here's another way you could do it too, and it's the same idea. It's just directed towards the parent in terms of a communication skill. What like I imagine that the parent needs to have confidence before, let's say, paying for a one-on-one package with the child. The parent needs to know that there's going to be a result. So what if you did a similar, again, like it could be a Zoom group call, or it could be a one-on-one a course that you deliver or whatever, but you could be simply teaching parents how to become better communicators and elicit better information from their kids with a simple goal of like establishing one key reframe that you just know that if you were in front of the child and if you did a certain set of communication tactics, you would accomplish this reframe. And if you teach the parent in a little course that they get that same result, what will happen is they'll have what we call an aha moment. So what Timothy
Mm.
explained and what I both explained, they both deliver the same thing. The goal with a little amount of money or time. So if they're investing in a free webinar or a paid course or a paid group session, whatever it is, your goal is to teach one little thing or maybe two things, but something where the parent goes, ah, I didn't know that. Now you have moved them from problem aware to solution aware while you're
Mm.
the coach. You're the one who gave them that, like, oh, did you know that this could help? And let me show you a thing that actually works. And they go, ooh, now they're trusting you. And they're more likely to go, okay, I'm gonna buy a session for my kid or whatever the case may be.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you. That's really helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wonderful.
And these
All
are
right.
all just principles, guys. Like, but none of this is,
Yeah.
it is kind of customized in that we're reacting to Deborah's market. Like we're tailoring what we're saying to her market, but it's
Yeah.
all the same for all of you. So whether you are working with executives who want to get in better shape, whether you're working with massage therapy clients that tend to have like emotional problems. I'm just like, I know I'm looking at the audience here. So I don't know if that's a fit or not, or whether you're working with
Mm.
golfers who struggle with problems in their life that are and they can't get their head out of their crap when they're on the golf course and they just want to play a better golf game. Like all of these markets are just different in the way that they see their problems, but the way that we start showing them solutions and weave them, towards this wanting to experience work with us is all the same.
Yeah. Yeah. The easiest way that, even if you never were to take any marketing course or anything ever, the easiest way to get a stranger to buy your like main core offer is to just think of these steps. Give them something free in exchange for your email. Ask them for a low dollar amount or a low, time investment with you, and then make the offer for your core offer. If you do those three steps, you're more likely to get somebody to buy with you than you were jumping right to your core offer. Like
Mm-hmm.
those are super easy principles. All right. Inca, hello, hello, friend.
Hi, thank you.
You're welcome.
Um, so, what I'm hearing is you figure out how they're seeing their problem, and you figure out how to solve their problem, and you do that in a microscopic little way, and then they'll realize how great you are, and they'll buy something more
Yeah.
substantial.
I think
Yeah, they're more. Yeah, go ahead, Timothy.
it's even simpler than that, Inca. Nobody, 100%, nobody's buying hypnosis. They are buying the outcome hypnosis gives them. So that's the whole idea of the problem statement is you're figuring out what the actual outcome is because then you can say, I can help you and I'll use hypnosis to get there. Hypnosis
Yeah.
is simply the vehicle to give them their outcome. But you can replace hypnosis with supplements, diet, exercise. Like you could do anything there as long as you're talking the right way to your audience. Chris, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. That's with respect to the problem statements and all that. And then just with respect to what we were talking about with Deborah and how this all fits together, I think what you said is pretty much bang on. What you're looking to do is take somebody from where they are to just a little bit down the path towards a solution, not just that but something they would recognize and go, oh, oh, I never knew that. Or, oh yeah, it could be something as simple as I remember when we had I'm just thinking for whatever reason back to one of the guest trainings we had in the Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy, and we had Dan Candell come in, and he just taught a couple of simple things that he explained how he did discovery calls, and he would run people through a particular exercise on a discovery call. Now, the goal of that is to take somebody from, keep in mind, they've already signed up for the discovery call, so they're not a total stranger at this point. They have probably seen maybe some sort of social media video that explains something that resonated. And so in this case, Dan Candell might have been talking about anxiety and how typically people manifest anxiety in this certain way. And what happens when you X instead and they go, oh, that's pretty cool. Sign up for a call. Now they get on to discovery call. They're considering hiring him for, a few $1,000 perhaps. And he does a discovery call and he shows them one technique. Takes like 3 or 4 minutes, right? And they go, ah, I feel different right now. Like I already feel just a little bit different. That didn't solve my life's problems, but it got me a little bit ways down, a little down that path. They go, oh, I feel already different now. Therefore, I could see how working with you would probably be a good idea, and I would get further. I mean, in much the same way, let's say you're a brand new. I'll give you an example. I'm in Florida. I just played my second day ever of playing pickleball. So no idea. I mean, I played some racket sports, but I had no idea really what I was doing. Now, if I wanted to get better at that, I was like, I care about being an awesome pickleball player, and I don't really know what I'm doing. And somebody at the court said, hey, Chris, do you mind if I give you a couple pointers? And I go, yeah, sure. And immediately I go, oh, that makes sense. I get it. I'm starting. Oh, thank you. Now, if they said, oh, by the way, like I'm a coach, and if you'd like, we could do some one-on-one practice sessions for the next 2 weeks while you're here. And I bet you if we do that, your game's going to be 10 times better. I'm probably going to be like, yeah, sign me up, right? Because they already gave me a little result for free. I spent a little bit of time with them. So that's all we're trying to do is just get people wherever you're working, just from somewhere to somewhere a little bit better before we make them the offer for the next step. But you don't go for the next step all in one fell swoop. We don't go from, having coffee together to what are we going to name our children? Because that'd be creepy, right? All right.
Okay.
Did I help you, Inca?
Can I ask the second part of my question?
Of
Absolutely.
course.
No, that was very, very helpful. Okay. So, personally, I'm hearing just not in general, not today, not but
Hmm.
just in general.
Yeah.
You're probably good enough to do this, so just jump right in. And on the other hand, I'm hearing you got to practice a lot, a lot, a lot before you get really good at this so you can be really effective.
Oh, you mean you as a change agent, let's
Me,
say.
me personally,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Got you. Got you.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Um, do you have confidence that you can get results for people?
I have gotten results for one or two, yes. So
Awesome.
that's a start.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's really, Timothy and I have talked about this a lot where you can just do a lot of free work until you have a lot of people that you've helped. until you get past that personal trigger point where you're like, yeah, I know I can help people. I
Uh,
know I can
uh,
charge money.
uh,
Or you have ways around this, right? You can charge a lower price. I'm not a huge fan of going, my sessions are $20, but like some basic absolute floor level, don't go below kind of thing. Maybe you
uh,
just charge $100 at first or whatever the
uh,
case may be.
uh,
But I'm more partial to say charge whatever your fee will be, and or waive it altogether if you just want to get a lot more experience under your belt. Timothy, you probably have more stuff to say on this because I know you have an entire module on this. It's
Hmm.
included in the Pickleball Mastermind, but I'm sure you can share
okay.
some nuggets.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, if you're lacking, confidence in being able to produce the outcomes that that you're making the claim of, right? Like I I've been there myself. There was a point in my own journey where I ran into a situation of overpromising and underdelivering until I realized that that wasn't the case. I had I had one client. This was back, I'm going to say probably 2021, 2022. So it's during the COVID timeframe. And I charged an exorbitant amount of money with this one client who was going through a skin picking problem. It's a specific disorder. It's like trichotillomania, like the hair, but for the skin. And so I did everything I could. And the first session, this client reaches out to me the next day. And it is like the most terrible voice message you could ever imagine, screaming at me, yelling, calling me every obscene thing you could imagine. I almost quit hypnosis that day until I did all the rest of the sessions because this person had, paid me a lot of money and I set them up for 6 sessions. So here's the thing. We never know when it's going to happen. We never know how it's going to happen, but it does because all change requires time. The same client reaches out a year later, and Chris remembers this, reaches out and he says, "You absolutely changed my life, and I want to apologize for everything I said to you during our time together." And I had no idea like what was going on until I looked at the notes. So, our very first session, the reason why the person came to see me wasn't because they were picking their skin. They wanted the outcome of like having a person that they, like a spouse, like they wanted a relationship. They wanted to be able to have their own place, like their own apartment. They were still living with their parents. They wanted to have their own business. Like they wanted all these things, but they thought the picking of their skin was the blocker preventing them from getting that. So that year passed and they've reached back out to me. Come to find out, they got everything that they wanted. And they were okay with every now and then them still picking their skin. And then they said one day it just stopped. They got everything they wanted, and then just one day it stopped. And
Mm-hmm.
this is that whole like cause versus effect, right? So he gave me the credit for it, but he still had to do the self work even after our sessions, and he still got the result that he wanted. It wasn't in the time frame that I promised that he would get it, but he got it. So in my own personal experience, I stopped providing time, like saying, you're going to get this result in 5 days or in whatever, because we're all different. So instead,
Yeah.
I tell them that the results are their own time, and I start checking in with them because you'll start to notice that even when you're checking in, we have to be careful with the way that we phrase things. So, from a hypnotic standpoint, I'm always asking them, well, what do you notice is different from when we first started to now? If you can help orient their reticular activating system to see what's different rather than what's the same, you're going to be much better off because that's something that we've heard over and over again where people come in for second, third, fourth, fifth session and the hypnotist goes, "All right, well, is anything still the same?" You're now orienting them to find it. We have to orient
Yeah.
them to find the positive, the new, the different, because that's where they're going to start having those aha moments. They're going to go, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize, but I stopped grinding my teeth at night. I stopped looking for food cravings at 2 in the morning. Like I stopped doing all this stuff
Mm-hmm.
because we're orienting them to find it." And I think that's probably the most important of all change work is make sure that you're helping your client orient to the things that they typically wouldn't look for. So I don't know what that is for you or for anybody else, but just in my own personal journey, that's what I started doing.
By the way, I love that story, Timothy. And I want to connect it to the idea of an aha moment for clients, because you now have, like, let's say Timothy was looking to get more clients of that nature. Well, maybe not people who are kind of dickish to him, but let's say more clients with that kind of problem. Skin picking, that was his specialty, right? And he wants more skin pickers. You think a story about how, like, any kind of content. Hey, I had a client come to me, and this is the problem that he had, and he wanted to stop this. But here's the real thing. When he dug, now it's dissociated. So the person listening to the story isn't thinking you're talking about them, but they will figure it out and they'll go, oh, that's me too. It turns out this guy's problem wasn't skin picking like that. He didn't want to stop picking his skin. He wanted to have a wife. He wanted to have a house of his own. He wanted to have a stronger relationship. He wanted to have a career. And this was simply a symptom of one of the things that was holding him back. And we did X and Y and Z. And a year later, he emails me. Turns out he was a little, whatever the case may be, he was slow to stop picking his skin, but he made all these other changes. Now, when someone hears that, they don't want the transformation of becoming a non-skin picker anymore. No. They want something else, something real. And they hear a message like that. So whatever that translates to in your guys' market, figure out how you can use prior client work as a kind of a case study marketing piece. You can make video content about this. And we had in our back pocket today, one thing we wanted to talk about briefly, so I'll slip it in now, is the idea of having your own email list. So actually, I would love to know how many of you already do have your own email list. And then we'll do a pause. And then, okay, so very few. Switch hands who do not have one. And then keep your hands up if you would like to and see the value in having one. Okay, pretty much everybody. Perfect. So it's awesome because when you see clients, even if it's just one or two a week or whatever, do you think you could anonymize some bits of it that would be, you could strip out anything personal and you can make it useful? How can you take what you did with the client, turn it into a useful story that you could email out? You could create video content on, blog posts on, whatever you want to do, however you want to get the message out there. That becomes like your legit, I'm the expert. I'm telling you a cool thing that happened in a useful way that will resonate with that potential client, right? So if you have an email list because you gave away some sort of lead magnet, or you gave away, even if your lead magnet was something as big as a free course that people signed up for, but you're now communicating with them on a regular basis, preferably at least by email because you own that list. And it's really, really cheap to email people. But if it's paid ads, if it's social media stuff that you're depending on an algorithm to show your content to your audience, whatever, just make sure you're authentic and you have these stories. Like Timothy's story was a great story. And he has dozens like that. I mean, I know because I've watched him work miracles with people and they have no freaking clue what they're about to face. And then I would joke with him and go, haha, you're the expert at helping people before they pay you. He wasn't looking to get paid in these situations. He was creating transformations for people in like 20 minutes. And then they would, I remember 1 year later, a guy, John Broman, gave Timothy this, like, probably a testimonial that could be worth, 6 or 7 figures on its own, just because of how freaking awesome the testimonial was. And that is a story that not only can he tell, but now I'm telling this story about Timothy and the work that he did. Like, you work with people, you get results, find a way to turn it into a story. And if they don't give you permission to use their name and likeness and all that in a full testimonial, that's fine. You can strip down all the personal details and use it just as a case study that's totally anonymized. So keep that in mind, guys. That is gold for marketing.
Did that help, Inka? Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. That was very helpful.
You're welcome. All right.
I would love to know if anyone, no one's got their hand up at the moment, but has anybody found that they had, client work that they did use as a marketing piece? Even if the client didn't say, hey, I'm willing to give you a testimonial, you could strip out their personal details and just tell the story in a anonymous way. Has anyone done that? Or is anyone now thinking, you know what, I'm going to go back and do that? Awesome. Seeing some hands go up. That's good. Okay.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, it's really, really useful.
Wonderful.
Cool. Well, yeah, we're happy to go a little longer. If you guys are out of questions, then we can wrap it up a little sooner. But Amanda's now got a hand up. Awesome.
Amanda and then Linda.
And
okay.
Linda.
Go ahead, Amanda.
Hi, thank you. I actually just put it in the chat so that I didn't forget what to ask. If you could take
Okay.
a quick look at it there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you have a desire to learn and offer coaching and believe that community is where happiness comes from, but you don't want to spend your life trading time for money. You have a limiting belief that says you can't make a living doing coaching alone. And secondly, as long as you're selling time for money, you'll never be truly happy. So you want to know what to do, and you're concerned you'll never be able to commit to it if it won't sustain you financially. Okay. Yeah. All right.
I'm going to just chime in with one quick point because that whole trading of time for money is something I used to remember back in the day, Timothy, when Tim Ferriss wrote the 4 Hour Work Week, and the idea of, okay, well, don't trade time for money, build a business that's sort of passive. In a lot of ways, it's kind of bullshit because you're still going to be trading some time for money. The idea is just to do as high value trade as possible. So, like right
Mhm.
now, if I wanted to, I could probably never work, but that would kind of be boring. And there's I love the community. So I actually like that you said that in your comment, Amanda, that community is where happiness comes from. So I, I've purposefully chosen to spend my time where I feel like it's going to be the most impactful or where I get the most joy from it. So even if like doing a call like this, we don't get paid, we might get paid. I mean, people are probably going to join the Pickleball Mastermind from us doing these things because I like how Joe said it earlier, we're actually teaching, not just selling, which is funny because sometimes teaching becomes selling. We don't have to make any kind of high pressure offer. So I like doing this because it gives me a lot of joy. I know it gives Timothy joy. We like hanging out with you guys and sharing wisdom and value, hoping we get you guys past some sticking points. Um, but if we think about, okay, am I getting paid for doing this? Yeah, eventually I guess I will. And if I did the math around it, I would probably have to conclude that I'm trading time for money, but I'm trading time that I enjoy spending. Um, I think there is really almost no such thing as pure passive income kind of thing, like having a course online and running ads to it. You would think, well, I don't really have to do anything because people just buy my course and then they consume it, and I can just set up the ads and the landing pages and it'll just run itself. Well, you'll still have customer service, you'll still have some refund requests, you'll still have some how do I log in problem type of things that you have to deal with. You'll still have to manage the business, run the business. You'll just be hopefully doing higher level tasks and delegating the lower level stuff to people who work on your team for you instead. The only true like passive income would be put your money in the stock market and clip dividends or capital gains or whatever the case may be. And then you can kind of, okay, just let your portfolio run for you. And you really literally don't have to do anything because you don't even have a job. But if you own a company, I think you are always going to be trading some time for money. So the balance is figure out what's the highest value and the highest joy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
that.
You're welcome, Amanda. The other thing that I noticed here, and it's as brief of an intervention as I can make it, is rereading your statement, the question that you had. What's interesting about it is you switched from I statements to you statements when you were talking about the limiting belief that you have. And so I'm wondering the you that you're talking to about the limiting belief, what does that part of you
Mm.
actually need so you can do the thing that you enjoy?
That's funny. I didn't even realize I did that.
That's right.
I will go back and look at that again and just kind of sit with that. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Amanda. And Linda.
Hi. Yeah, thanks for doing this. Is this the first one of these? I've never come across this. Is this new I'm gathering?
This is
Newish.
our fifth
This
one.
is the fifth one. Yeah.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something that you mentioned earlier got me thinking to kind of make a list of all my assets. Because what I'm struggling with is exactly what to focus on in terms of putting out there. Um, and my big problem is I'm really quite scattered in the sense that I have just so many possibilities of things that I could do. And so just for background briefly, I'm going to be retiring soon. I've been a college professor in comparative religion. I've done a lot in terms of personal growth workshops, galore trainings, teachings, so I have a lot of assets there in a sense, also along with some hypnosis training and whatnot. And then I get kind of overwhelmed with all the possibilities of courses and programs and things that I do. And I've kind of tried and done a lot of things, but I also get disappointed with not seeing the kind of success I'd like. So I get kind of stuck of with overwhelm and lack of clarity as to, well, really, it's really, I think, a lack of commitment as to what to follow through on to see what could happen and work for me, because I do want to be creating an extra line of income so I can retire. So
Mhm.
that's my kind of one of my main goals, along with kind of a bit of a legacy thing of putting out all my wisdom out in the world before I die. So I kind of have two goals there. And yeah, and then again with so many possibilities. So I don't know, and just in case any tips or feedback on that in terms of how to assess exactly what to do when.
Yeah, absolutely, Linda. So inside the Pickleball Mastermind, earlier Chris shared one of the templates that we give all of our students to work through. Another one that we give, it's called Picking Your Big Three. And it goes hand in hand with another one, which is it's called our ice scoring, where basically you write down all the ideas that you want. Give yourself permission to have all those wonderful ideas and just start logging them in a spreadsheet or on a Google Doc or anything like that.
Do you want me to
Once you
screen share
start,
this while you're talking about it?
yeah, if you want to, I don't have it pulled up.
I got it.
Okay. So basically, you're just going to record all of the wonderful ideas that you have. This is our future growth planner. And
Oh,
so all you do is you write down what the growth idea, so these are the wonderful ideas you have for building your legacy, getting all that wisdom out there, etc. And then you're going to write down what it is, so the description, what you think it's going to do for your business, and then there's these things called growth levers, meaning that either it's going to help you get more clients, it's going to help you engage those leads so that they might potentially buy from you, meaning that you monetize from them. And then once they buy, how do you keep them re-engaged? So how do you retain them? And then all you're going to do is you're going to rank what those ideas are based on what's the impact that would have on your business. How confident are you that it's actually, that it's actually going to work or that you can, do this, and how easy is it? And then
Yeah.
and
And
that's
these
it.
are 0 to 10. You score them on a 0 to 10. So like if, for example, this was a 7, this was a 6, and this was like this is really difficult, so I'm going to give it a 3. It averages out to a 5.3. And
Yeah.
Timothy, you said impact. Impact is like, is this going to move the needle in your business? Confidence is how sure am I that I can actually do this?
Yep.
Because like, well, I've never done it before, low score. I've done this a million times. Like, I'm going to run a webinar. I'm going to go teach a class at college. I've done that a million times. So no problem, right? Then you get a high score. And ease is just like, well, how much work is involved? Is it a ton of
Yeah.
work? Then it's not easy at all. Low score is just like, oh my God, it's so easy. My team can do it for me. It's a 10. So yeah, you just
Yeah.
rank all your ideas. Go ahead, back to you, Timothy.
Yeah. And so you're just going to rank all your ideas. And then on the next page, which is our top 3 project outline, all you're going to do is from that list, you're just going to pick 3 of them and over a 90-day cycle. So think of it like one thing a month for 3 months. That's the only thing you're going to focus on. Let yourself, think of those ideas and put them in the spreadsheet, but then
Mm-hmm.
only focus for 3 months on just 3 things. And if you can do that, you're going to get farther than trying to implement all of the major ideas that you have. You really need to give
Yeah.
yourself permission to ideate and also give yourself permission to only hyper focus on 1 to 3 things.
Mm-hmm. This is kind of like this here is your shiny objects, right? I give myself permission to be hey, there's a squirrel. Oh, look, there's a Christmas tree. Oh, whatever. All the different things that you could do, but you kind of go, all right, well, rank them or rank them later, whenever, once a quarter, rank them, and then you've spent all your shiny object time, and then you go, all right, what's the stuff I'm gonna focus on? It's time to zone in now and just do the work. So I love that you said that because first of all, like the list of assets, that's the sheet here. I mean, your different assets go in different swim lanes of like assets that people find out about you from. So that could be, for example, a podcast or a YouTube channel. And the same thing with engagement. I mean, that might be a particular video on your social channel that's pinned that really does well, or you have a lead magnet or whatever. These would go here. Small, like a discovery call funnel that you might have, or something like a webinar where people are going to show up for free, but you run a particular webinar or you run a particular live class. Those are conversion events where people are investing a little bit of time or money with you. Then you might have particular techniques that you teach that give people an aha moment and they go, oh my God, that's amazing. That's what I need. And then finally, you'd have your actual offers in the ascend column. These are the main things. So if you write down all the crap that you have sort of disorganized, I'm not calling it crap because it's crap. I just mean disorganized in your case, right? And I don't know what to do, figure it all out. Then you go, okay, what are all my ideas? And that, if you just do that, you probably get a sense of, okay, what seems like the most obvious and strong assets that I can now focus on and just build with one audience in mind, one clear offer, and just focus all your effort there for the time being. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was excellent. Thank you very much. No, that really helps a lot. That's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad I asked.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Thank you, Linda. All right, Sherilyn. Hey, friend. It's been a while. How are you?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Thank
Awesome.
you guys. So I have so many things going and it's just like, how do I, one thing after the other. So I created a landing page because I've got my books, I've got my doing the massage and the herbal consulting and the hypnosis, right? And then I have the wellness club. And so created a landing page for that, but I struggle a little bit with communicating. I want to be able to build up more of my online offerings and doing more of the hypnosis and of course like working on the membership bit. But I kind of figured out that if I say I'm an integrative, I'm a master herbalist, integrated wellness practitioner. In some places I'd say I'm an herbal educator as well. So it's like, it feels really like muddy of how I communicate what I do. And the other thing is I really liked your idea the last time that was on here of like having those problem statements and going to the website. But then for me, it's, for my scheduling has all of it. So it's like you're going to click on massage or you're going to click on all those other things. And if people are remote and then, I don't know. I want to be able to streamline it but it's all through that one system. So I just wondered what your thoughts were on that to help.
I think, first of all, with the title that you like, the way you describe what you do, and it feels, did you say it felt muddy? Or
muddy.
I would like to see you go at it using the templates that we showed, like that idea of the perfect client snapshot, right? If you can figure out what it is that people say about their own problems and their own daily struggles, etc., that will then help you transform it into a language, the brand messaging of what you do. So instead of saying, it sounded like a really, postgraduate kind of title that I couldn't even remember because it was so many words. I mean, I'd rather hear something like, I teach people how to put the right kinds of supplements in their body that aren't prescription drugs to get, so that they feel better or so that they, whatever it is that the outcome is that they're after. But, that's like something more along the lines of what everyday language would sound like. If you could shorten that down.
Okay, so more my title is more about the outcome rather than the like what I
like turn it into a little. You can have a title, of course, but how about like a super simple elevator pitch of, I show people with X kind of problems how to get Y result using natural herbal medicine. So you don't have to spend a fortune on prescription drugs that have nasty side effects or whatever. The things your doctor doesn't know about or that your drug company doesn't want you to know about.
So
your drug company, the pharmaceutical companies.
the other part that's additionally kind of muddy is so in Idaho Therapeutic Massage, I provide herbal hands-on and whole person care for women with chronic inflammation, autoimmune conditions. And I work with men as well, but I threw the women in there because I just got to the point where I only wanted to work with women for massage. And so then knowing how to communicate that, I've got men who are professional athletes that I worked with hypnosis or, with herbal consulting, and so I don't close that off, but just again for the branding and the messaging as far as like making sure I'm narrow enough so that my people know like, hey, this is me, but then I'm not shutting other folks out.
I don't think you will, Sherilyn. That's a common misconception. In fact, I think it would actually be the opposite. When we get really good, like really, really good at specifically narrowing down who we're talking to, we still end up hitting people outside of the bullseye because the messaging is still going to resonate with them in one way, shape, or another. So all of your marketing messaging might be around, I only work with women in massage, but the athletes might still see that. And if you've worked with them, they might, oh, you do massage, and they might still bring it up. Like, I know you said you only work with women, but I really liked our hypnosis. Can we still do that? I don't think that you would be telling them, oh, I don't work with you just because your website says you don't. They're still going to ask, and you would be the only person to determine whether or not you will work with them. But at least it'll keep the types of people that you don't want to work with far enough away that it'll attract more of the people you do want to work with.
And you can also say something like mostly, right? So that it's not cutting off. It's just sort of a description of the demographics. I work with mostly women who XYZ. I've never even thought about it that way before, but it just occurred to me that why not?
Mostly.
Mostly.
All right.
I know a fitness coach that I hired describes that he used to work with mostly women, and now it tends to be more of an even match. But great, like because fitness, men, women. I mean, it's all about moving your body and lifting stuff. So it doesn't really matter what gender someone is. Yeah, but he would say mostly.
Okay. Good idea. Thank you. All right. So, and then the spreadsheet is in the Pykthos Mastermind group.
Okay. Yeah. Inside the discussion, if you go all the way down at the bottom in the community, you'll see Mastermind resources.
Okay.
If you click on that, the one you're looking for, it's called the Pykthos Growth System Template.
Okay. You just basically when you open it up, you'll see a top blue button. I think in the top right, Timothy? It says Use Template, and you'll basically click it, and Google Sheets will make a copy of it into your own Google Drive, and that way you can edit it and fill it out to your heart's content.
Okay.
And you can screen share it.
Okay, perfect. Going through the videos and stuff that you guys had, it was just like jump, get the website going, get this going. So I just like dove right in, and I didn't even start at point A with your videos and stuff, It's just like I'm just doing it. And so anyway, it's time for me to work backwards and get the foundations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think that's fine because you were in the build phase, but now you're in what we call optimize. So now you're getting even more specific, more hyper focused, and that's okay too.
Perfect. Thank you guys.
Yeah, totally. And you already had a website to begin with. I don't want to see people go and just build a site without understanding the basic foundational stuff that we've been talking about here. Because like if you haven't kind of figured out who your audience is or how they describe their problems, and then how you can talk to them in a way that resonates. And if you haven't figured out what actions you're going to ask them to take for that very first engagement step or subscription step, like it wouldn't really make sense for anyone at that point to build a website, would it? Because they're probably going to end up with like, hi, welcome to Fort Myers Hypnosis. I help people, sign up now, and it's like, it doesn't really do anything good. I help people. Yeah.
I help people. Give me money.
Yeah, exactly. I help people. Open your wallet. Yeah, exactly. Awesome.
Thank
All
you.
right. Well, look at that, 12:24. So I don't know if this is where we should wrap it up. If anyone else has anything quick, we can do it, or we'll wrap it up.
All right. Thank you guys so much. This was great. If you're even remotely interested at all in, checking out the Pykthos Mastermind, it's pykthos.com/mastermind. And I put the link in the chat for you guys. If you want to click on that, or when you click on it, you'll see the landing page. You can sign up at any point. We haven't started a new cohort because right now we're in the middle of another 90-day cycle, and we run on 90-day cycles. You're free to join at any time because the faster you get in, the easier it's going to be for us to help you, besides you waiting every 2 weeks for one of these.
Yeah, that's it. No pressure. So if you like it, if you want to know more info, you know how to get in touch with us to ask questions. And we'll see you guys in the next one in about 2 weeks, or in 2 weeks. So, okay, let's shut her down. So we will say thanks once again, and
Good night.
good night.
Night.